Don't skip this video because I've got something important to share. And you need to watch the video up to the end. You may learn something. I know you're going to get something from this, especially if you are a parent or a teacher or anyone involved in the education of children in Africa. Let me get started without wasting your time. Today I had a conversation with my child. The conversation was going on very well, and we were speaking in my local language. Everything was okay until I asked him what they learned at school. His response was in English. Suddenly, he said, "They taught us in English." I know what that meant. It meant that I can't continue speaking Bemba if I'm going to talk about what we were learning at school. Then I said, "Okay, can you explain to me in English?" Then he went over what they learned at school, and it was good. I learned something from him. But after that conversation, I started thinking to myself, the thought was, so certain knowledge can only be given in a particular language and it remains in that particular language. It cannot be transferred to the next person in a different language. If knowledge is given or transmitted in the classroom situation, is transmitted to the child or to children in the classroom in English, that knowledge remains in English. Cannot be given to another person in a different language. That was very interesting, and I started thinking, could that be the reason why we have got so many people that have completed grade 12, for example, and are unable to do something for themselves because that language which was given to them in English is detached from their own economic and social realities? Could it be the reason that we have had a lot of people that have gone through the education system and they have studied different important subjects, and yet they cannot use that knowledge for themselves and for the benefit of society? This is very interesting for two reasons. The first one is that English comes from a different world, a worldview that is totally different from the worldview of Africans. English is based on the philosophies English education is based on the philosophies of education thinkers that come from first world, or from countries in the first world. And then you bring that knowledge based on thinkers that are detached from our own environment to come and teach that knowledge in English to our children. Do you really think, and I need a response in the comments from parents and from teachers and any other people who are involved in education, do you really think there could be meaningful learning if a set of knowledge, a set of skills is transferred in a particular language which has got a different kind of philosophical orientation given to the children that are born in a totally different environment? For instance, in Sub-Sahara, we've got this philosophy or worldview of Ubuntu, which is based on communalism, living together and being related and connected to one another, to the environment, to the land, to the spiritual realm. How do you then bridge the gap between the two worlds? I have been thinking about this, and for me, this is an issue of concern, and I feel, which leads me to point number 2, the policies that we have in Africa tend to promote outside knowledge which is detached to reality. Yeah, the policies, the language policies that we have in education, they tend to support philosophies and educational ideas that are detached from our own environment. Now, I like one Kenyan author, Ngugi wa Thiong'o. In one of his books, Decolonizing the Mind, I think, he says that when they were young, the language of play, the language of education, the language of work, and the language of home was the same. There was harmony among all these different places: the home, the workplace, the place of play. Everything was connected. Learning was under the people who were knowledgeable, who were skilled, and it was some kind of apprenticeship where the student learns through participating with the teacher. both the teacher and the learner were involved in some form of work, some form of activity. At that point, the learner was learning or acquiring knowledge from the teacher. However, in the formal school, the teacher stands in class and talks about theories and academic, gymnastics and all those things, which may not have a bearing on the life, the realities of the learners in the classroom. So, I don't know, for me, I feel if we are going to improve in our education system in Africa, then we need to start thinking about policies, especially language policies, and the content that we are teaching to the children. Are we teaching content that is detached from the children's realities, or we are actually just copying and pasting? Anyway, before I talk further, you can see I'm putting on a very nice t-shirt. Yeah, this t-shirt, there's a link somewhere where you can find if you want this or any other t-shirt that you can find. Thank you so much. So at this moment, I just want to say, I personally think we are only going to improve in our education system if we localize everything, and if our education becomes responsive to the needs of the local people, and if the masses can be educated in the languages that they understand. I don't know what you think. You can leave a comment. And before you leave, please subscribe, like, and share. Thank you so much.